So this is the recap for livestream 350, and today we had I'd say it's a good day. I made pretty good decisions. One decision in particular was pretty good, especially in hindsight. So we'll start with probably the best trade. Normally start from right to left, looking at gold. So on gold here, we didn't have any setups until pretty late in the afternoon. Not late in the afternoon, but very long time after starting trading. So came over an hour after. Had to be a bit patient. Had a short setup here. Went short. Thought about taking profit down at 82.5. Price came all the way down to 82.4. 2 ticks away. Then started to retrace to the upside. I was certainly very concerned with this. I thought I would have to scale out and eventually stop out as the market retraced to the upside. Thought about the reason why I wouldn't take 82.5. Thought, started second guessing myself a little bit, thinking I was being a bit greedy. Price turned up, didn't quite get to the scale out. Turned around, eventually hit my target down there at 82.2 for a favorable P&L. We also took trades over on ES. Over on ES, it was certainly a bit of a concern. We did have some major news come out today. We had retail sales, and we also had Michigan consumer sentiment. So retail sales came in line with forecasts at 0.5, and Michigan consumer sentiment came out a bit weaker than expected at 58.6. Do have a major summit taking place between the United States and Russia, and so had to be a bit patient with the trades. So eventually had a setup right here, went short. Price hit target. Still have this 68.50 on the chart, which was the all-time high that was in place for a couple of weeks, because the market seems to be reacting to that level. So now we saw price came down, price came back through, strong close above. Thought about taking long, but because I took that trade yesterday and it worked in my favor, thought I'll be overworking the level. We can see here in hindsight that certainly would have worked long all the way to the highs. Again, came down through the 68.50, and a long through there would certainly have worked towards target, but decided to stick with my overall trading strategy. I was looking at other trades, of course, so didn't take this signal here. Noticed the signal over here and went short. Prices came down, hit the target at 68.75. Just slightly above that 68.50. Price went all the way down to that 68.25, 1 tick below the 68.50s, and retraced to the upside. So pretty much near perfect exit there. I'd say it's pretty perfect. Finally, we'll have a look over at NQ, and despite this being my losing trade, it is a losing trade. It is my best trade of the day. And I'll also talk about the fortune that was in my favor today. So had this short, and I'll be honest, I had a poor execution. I have to admit that. Poor execution on my part. So we already had the market head all the way down, have more volatility on NQ compared to ES. So had the market head down. So certainly was a little bit cautious, especially as we were below this 1.5. Now, should have been in the market a fair bit earlier on NQ. So should have been in, could have been at any point here at better prices. Weren't in. Prices came down towards where the default target should have been because of pure execution. Didn't take the execution, left the order out there. Eventually the order got filled. Now this is where a good decision on my part was made. So it got filled. Saw prices were struggling to head lower. Now we came through these lows, and we came down, and we saw the buying prices stalled, couldn't head lower, and started to head up, and that's when I was triggered. Now I saw prices were attempts lower were being bought up, and when I looked over at our friends at ES at the time, so if we look at ES all through this area, we can see here that was when ES interacted with that 68.50, which was the high from a couple of weeks ago, which is acting as support and resistance at the moment. Well, mainly support at the moment. So started bearing that in mind. I didn't like the price action. Price just seemed to be constantly being bought up on dips, and seemed like it wanted to just keep testing new highs. So sort of that I decided I would just get out and wait for a reset to go back short. So got out. So the entry was around 80.75, got out at 83.75. That was very fortunate. Prices started to roll a bit, trying to pull back. I decided to go short and I weren't filled, and for some reason the order didn't go into the market, and that was very fortunate because not long after I hit the button, well, I thought I hit the button, prices turned around pretty quickly and raced all the way up to where my stop would have been on that short. So that was very fortunate. It was a good trade in taking the loss for a small loss here, not being filled over here. That's just pure fortune. I'm not going to take credit for that. Now we'll have a look here at overall account. We can see here on the 15th we had the 2 wins there, had that small loss on NQ, my best trade of the day, and the bigger trade there on gold, which was, I think that was the last trade. It's clear, pretty clearly it's the last trade of the day. Now let's have a look at the trade performance. So over in the trade performance, we can see here we only took 1 trade on NQ, 2 trades on ES, and 1 trade on gold. The 1 trade on NQ, of course, was that small loss of 6, 0 winning trades, only took 1 loss, 0% accuracy, and the loss is -6. And also, because that's the only loss we took, the average loss today is -6. Over on NQ, on ES, we took 2 trades, 2 winners, 100% accuracy for an average gain of 22.5. We can see there 100%. And finally on gold, 1 trade all the way to profit, 100% accuracy. We can see there 34.5 for an average of 34.5. So between the ES and gold, we can see that our average worked out at 26.5 here at the top, and we only had that 1 loss on NQ. You can see 75% win percentage, so that's certainly favorable. And the overall PNL, let's do a better job of the arrow there. So the overall PNL being 70,200 after commissions, of course. And that's pretty much all the trading today. So at the moment, the current strategy I'm using is working for me, but I will have to say I'm going to be cautious because I imagine at some point I'm going to have losing trades. I'm not going to have great instincts and be able to take off trades for fairly small losses. I'm going to have a bigger loss, dig myself a hole that I'm not going to be able to get out of, and I'm going to have to be prepared for that. I'm going to have to be okay with taking a bigger loss than I am used to and sticking with the strategy. Now that's going to be the biggest challenge going forward. What I'm going to do on days where I am losing or I suffer a big loss, that is the biggest challenge, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Good luck trading. Have a great day.